Hello and welcome. Today I'm joined by Minnesota State Governor Jesse Ventura, and we're going to have a live interview before he goes to speak to the seniors in the Performing Arts Center. Jesse, first of all, thanks for joining me today.
My pleasure.
How are you doing this morning?
Good, not too bad. Not
all
too
right.
bad.
Well, let's just get right on with the interview. I guess my first question so far is we've heard some rumors about, and some have actually been confirmed by some sources, that you're in talks about running for the vice presidency, possibly with Al Gore.
No, not at all. First of all, Al Gore's a Democrat.
Okay.
I'm not. I belong to the Independence Party. I'm a third-party person who believes that we need a third-party movement in this country. So really, I'd be selling out myself if I did that. So I have no intention of running for vice president, as I have no intention of running for president. It's kind of a unique situation. The media asks you the questions, and then they turn it around and say that that's all you talk about, when all I'm doing is honestly answering the questions that they put to me.
Has Al Gore approached you to talk about the vice presidency issue?
No,
At no point?
No. He's approached me, obviously, to seek my support in endorsing him, of which I've been very clear. I said I won't endorse either a Democrat or a Republican, but what I will do is endorse policy. If one of the candidates were to come out with a policy that I agree with, then I will come out and say, yes, I agree with that policy. But again, I'm a third-party person, and I want to see the rise of a third party in the United States, and so I won't endorse either a Democrat or Republican.
And as part of being the third party, you're in the Reform Party, but just recently you split off the Minnesota Reform Party and created your own party. A lot of this has happened because of the Pat Buchanan joining the National Reform Party. Why do you think the rest of the National Reform Party has been slow to turn against Pat Buchanan and other people just joining the party?
Well, that's their choice. That's each state individually that belongs to the Reform Party. That's up to them, whether they want to stay or go. The thing you have to remember is we were the Independence Party prior to affiliating with the Reform Party. The Minnesota Independence Party actually started in 1989, and then it was 1996 that they affiliated nationally with the Reform Party, and then of course it was this past year that we disaffiliated and went back to being the Independence Party of Minnesota. And the reason we did that was because we were losing a lot of people who I think would have came to the Independence Party had there not been Pat Buchanan. But they saw Pat Buchanan was going to win this national endorsement, and it became very difficult for some people, myself included, to remain part of a party whom Mr. Buchanan would be our representative for president. I'm not a supporter of Pat Buchanan. Our ideas differ too much, especially on trade. I believe in the normalization of trade with China. I believe in competing in the global market, where Mr. Buchanan believes more in isolationism, and I don't think that'll work in today's day and age at all. We are in a global economy, whether people like it or not. It is there, and it's a fact of life. Let's go compete in it.
And we've also seen reports that you've offered to help as far as being a negotiator in the trades with China. What exactly role would you like to take in that?
Well, I haven't offered to be a negotiator, really. What happened was I wrote an op-ed piece at the time all the protests were going on in Seattle at the WTO, and I wrote an op-ed piece in support of world trade, and the president saw it, and Ambassador Barshevsky saw it, and so they brought me to Washington, and they asked me to take a lead role on speaking out in support of normal trade relations with China. And fortunately, it passed the House, so we got a victory there. Now it goes on to the Senate, and it appears that it'll pass the Senate quite substantially. And if that happens, then I'll feel very good about being offered the ability to whatever help I could give, because to me, this was the one most important economic decision of this century that really will have repercussions 20, 25 years from now. This vote, we will at that point understand the dynamics of what happened here. And to be offered a role to play a part in something that literally could well change the world economy of the whole world is kind of a humbling experience when you go home at night and you lie in bed and realize what you're taking part in. And so I was just glad to do it. When the president asked me to step to the forefront, my view was that he is the president of the United States. He's the commander-in-chief. I'm a United States Minnesota governor and a United States citizen, and if you agree with it, you step forward and serve your country, and that's how I viewed my role.
All right, Jesse, and before we wrap up, we're in high school today. What would you like to say to today's high school students?
Oh, my message to today's high school students is, number one, have fun. Enjoy life. Enjoy the experience that you're having in school. Enjoy the time at this point in your life where you can go out and truly see the world and experience things throughout the world. And I always tell them, live your dreams, because your dreams may not always come true. But by chasing a dream, don't ever let someone tell you you can't. And by chasing that dream, many times one dream will lead to another. The path of life is very strange, the different roads you'll go on. So my message to young people is chase your dreams. Don't anyone tell you you can't be successful, and just live life to the fullest and have fun doing it.
Governor, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
It's been my pleasure.
My pleasure.
Have a good afternoon.
Okay.
And ladies and gentlemen, would you please join me in welcoming Bethy Fabo, Senior, singing the Star Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right, guys, as much as I love you, we've got a thing to do here. We've got Governor Ventura. He's more than happy to be here. We're more than happy to have him. But before he gets to speak to us, there's a few people we need to introduce. And first of all, if you guys would please stand up when I introduce you and just take your applause. First of all, we have Ann Yanamini. She's right down here. She's joined by her son, Jay, who's a freshman. So if we could give her a hand. Thanks for coming today, Ann. Right next to her, we have our principal, Dr. Cindy Hayes. And right next to her, we have Superintendent Dr. Bill Gaslin. Bill? But we all came to see a man who needs no introduction, and that's our Governor, Jesse Ventura. Governor, would you please join me? Good luck.
Thanks.
Good morning. They always prepare me a speech, so I have one. See, this is what happens when you become governor. You get prepared speech. I'll go a little off it, and if I find I don't want to use it, I won't either. That's usually what I do. And usually when I ad-lib, that creates more excitement. When you go off the prepared speeches, those are all pre-read, and he can't get in trouble if he says this and all of that. If I got it right, is this second hour? So like if I go real slow, we'll get into third hour and we'll eliminate that. Here I am, probably older than your principal, and she's down here shaking a finger at me. Don't you dare do that. Well, I'm in charge today. Seriously though, it's terrific to be here. Eden Prairie High School is a tremendous school. You've established yourself with a great legacy as one of the great schools in Minnesota already, and you're really quite a young school. I have some older friends here, some way back friends that went to school here, graduated a few years ago, that I developed an acquaintance with. Ryan Iverson. I know I became good friends with Ryan. And I always love to talk at high schools and deal with the young people because I myself continue to take part in my participation with young people, and I will continue, as I will this fall, and coach again at Champlain Park. I really enjoy it. It gives you a chance to get out and be with the young people on a day-to-day basis and get you away and break away from politics and all of that world, and it's very nice. So, but anyway, should I go off the prepared speech? Okay, here we go. Here we go. Speech 101. Now, seriously, I know the year's almost over, and you're anxious to get out. You have a great school, and you realize that, but you're finally realizing, too, you're almost done. It's almost over, this period of your life. And I know you hear it hundreds of times, but you'll be amazed at how time flies. You'll graduate this year in the year 2000, and before you know it, you'll have a 5-year reunion. And it's going to happen so fast you won't believe it. When I was in your chairs, my senior year of high school, which was way back, 1969. That's hard to believe. Is the media here today? The regular media? They are? Okay. Well, that means that I can't say something I was going to say. Otherwise... No, I better not. It'll be in the headlines tomorrow and I'll be in trouble. So we'll do it off the record later if we can. But I know quite a bit about your school, as I said, because I coach football, and Eden Prairie has one of the great traditions of high school football here. Your coach, Mike Grant. And, you know, every year you're a contender, and every year you're on top, and you do a very good job here, and the school spirit of Eden Prairie is just tremendous. So keep it up. Keep the legacy going, because it's always the seniors who pass that on to the juniors and sophomores that keep that going. Young people are especially important to me, and not just because I'm the father of two, which my son is now 20 and my daughter's 16, so they're kind of at the ages you're at, so I know a lot about what you go through. It's interesting, my 20-year-old son now is gone. I mean, age 18, and all of a sudden you grow up and you disappear. He came home a week ago. He had been out. He's Sean Penn's assistant, and he was out doing the next Jack Nicholson film in Vancouver, Canada, and he came home for 3 days, and then he got home, and Sean called and he said, "Dad, I'm heading for Cannes, France tomorrow." So off he went on a plane to France. So he said, then he called me from France, and he said, "It's very interesting here." He said, "You go to the beach and nobody wears clothes." He told me, even the people you don't want to see. So that was my son's message back to me. But Young people, though, were a major, major force in getting me elected. They really and truly were. They really, you young people and people of, how many here are 18? Just about everybody. Wow. Well, you're going to be able to vote this fall. You're going to be able to vote this fall, and this is something that I want to keep you involved with. I want to motivate you to vote, to become a part, because young people came out in 1998 in droves and helped elect me. And it was something that the press couldn't comprehend. It was something the political analysts didn't understand, because traditionally young people have never gotten involved in voting. They usually wait, till you're 30, then you start voting. You wait till you're through going to college, you're off in your career, and you're doing what you do, and then you think about, oh, gee, I can vote. Maybe I should get involved politically. Well, I'm here to motivate you to start voting this fall, and I'll be highly disappointed, all those hands that went up in the air, if each and every one of you doesn't go out and exercise your right to vote. And it truly is one of the great things we have in this country, is the ability to change things, the ability to elect a Jesse Ventura. When all the experts said I couldn't win, all the pundits said, who is this guy, this grassroots campaign, this guy that takes no special interest money, who spent literally nothing to get elected. But what it did show was how important voting is, and it showed that when young people get involved, become part of the system, they can truly help change the system. And when I say get involved, I don't mean running out today and volunteering for a presidential campaign necessarily. You could certainly do that, and it's a great learning lesson for you, but getting involved can be something, as I said, as simple as voting. How many of you plan to vote this fall? Good. If you don't plan on voting, then don't complain about the system. Don't complain that you're getting a raw deal if you won't take the time out to vote. And the good part about voting is this: if you're working, your boss has to let you do it. So time your voting. If you're going to get off work normally at 4, tell them you have to vote at 2. Then they have to let you go, and they have to give you a block of a certain amount of time, and then you don't have to come back to work. And voting takes 15 minutes at the tops. You can be in and out of there and have the remaining 2 hours of freedom. So use your head, do it right. You can get involved in many, many ways. When I lived in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, 10, 11 years ago, there was an environmental issue of a wetland close to my house that the city government wanted to come in and literally destroy, and 450 of us citizens said, this is unacceptable to us. We all signed a petition, took it to City Hall, 450 people, and said, we don't want this to happen. Well, lo and behold, the mayor and city council voted us down 7-0. Slam dunk, 7-0. That's where my involvement came, because I had never been involved in politics before. And I thought, wait a minute, don't we elect these people to do what we want? Isn't that what we do? You elect a representative to represent you? How could, maybe I could have accepted had the vote been 5-2 or 4-3. Then you figure, well, we didn't win them all over. But 7-0 sent me a message. It sent me a message at that time that the electorate wasn't listening to the people, at least not in Brooklyn Park. And then lo and behold, what happened? I got more involved, and I can get animated and whatever. And I happened to say to the 20-year incumbent mayor, you're going to make me run, aren't you? And his council member sitting next to him laughed and said, you can't win. Well, I walked out of there that night knowing I was running, because I don't like to be told the word can't. I don't like to be told that I can't do something, that if I set my mind to something, it can't happen. And lo and behold, I ended up running and winning. won all 21 precincts, including the one the incumbent mayor lived in. That's got to tell you something politically, if you lose your own home precinct. And won 65% of the vote. I then served 4 years as mayor of Brooklyn Park. So that's getting involved the way I did, from coming from nowhere, really, having no political aspirations, to getting involved. So, and little by little, I seemed to get more and more involved, and as I gained experience, then the opportunity came running for governor in 1998, which I did, and again, I was told I couldn't win. And again, we proved them wrong, that yes, you can win, and you can win truthfully by not buying the election, by not spending and outspending your opponents. I think that we raised $300,000, and I believe the Democrats and Republicans combined on the governor's election spent $8 or $9 million. So that was the spending difference. But it proved to me the American dream still lives on. It proves to me that you didn't have to be part of the political system, that you didn't have to win your way up election after election and be a career politician to be the governor of the state of Minnesota. So it reinforced to me that the American dream still lives on. And remember this, I sat in an auditorium just like you. I was your age, 18. I had no desire ever to get into politics. That was the farthest thing from my mind. But always remember, someone in this room could end up the governor of the state of Minnesota. That's the great thing about this country of ours. One of you could end up the governor, because I am no different than you. I was no different than you. You are what I am if you live that long. That's what you tell all young people when they get on you about your age, you know. Remember, I was what you are, and you'll be what I am if you live that long. But now I'm really involved. And it's pretty interesting being involved at my level of government. And so I tell to you today, I'm not going off this sheet. I don't have enough of this sheet. But I'll tell you today that there's nothing better than being involved. It truly is. But I want to give you a lesson, too. A lesson to don't believe everything you read. Don't believe everything you hear on the news. And really don't just take for face value things that happen, because everyone is human. And everyone puts spins on things. And the thing I'd like to talk to you about today is what appeared in today's newspaper. If you open up today's newspaper, you see a cartoon, first of all, on the editorial page. And it's me. And I'm sitting in a big old chair in the governor's office, and I have a gasoline pump going into the top of my head, which says himself, and he's full of himself. And it says, oh yeah, I could be president if I wanted. I ain't seen no way those guys could beat me. Everybody's begging me to run. Of course, I don't want it. Blah, blah, me, blah, blah. Right? Now, I accept this. This is the editorial page. Editorial is opinion. Right? Now, you go to the inside of the paper today, a couple pages in, and you see a big story. The man who would talk and talk about the presidency. And again, it's me. What exactly has Ventura said about the possibility of running for the highest office in the land? And then it follows with a lot. He said a lot. Now, if you were to read this and look at the picture, you would assume what? That I have a big interest in running for president, and I'm self-promoting myself, right? Right? There you go. Well, the problem is this. I have never once brought up this subject. Not once. This subject has been brought up to me by reporters. They ask me these questions, and I'm honest enough that I answer them to the best of my ability, and I answer them truthfully. And now do you see the twist they put on it? The twist is no longer that these questions have been initiated by them, and that this whole presidential thing is a media creation by the media to sell stories, to create interest. Now they twist it to make it look like this is something that I spend my whole day doing, which again, I look you all right in the eye and I say, I have never once stated I wanted to run for president. I never once stated anything about it. I simply answered questions I was asked by reporters. And when you answer them truthfully and honestly, this is what you end up with. So I say that only to bear in mind. Don't necessarily take media reports as the gospel. There is always two sides to a story, and they are professional writers, and they get paid to write. They get paid to be provocative, and they get paid to create, in many ways, news. So bear that in mind as my message today to you seniors. Find out for yourself. Take interest in yourself, and if you want to know, ask me. And I'll tell it to you the best I know. This is supposed to be question and answer, so I'm going to end my speech right about now, and I'll just finish by saying to you this. When people ask me to address young people today, I always tell the young people, have fun. Enjoy this time of your life. You'll never relive it again. You're at an age of exploration. The whole world is out there waiting for you, and it's an exciting time in your life. Make sure to have a good time, have fun, go do everything you can possibly imagine to do. Well, you know what I'm saying. But remember another thing too, if you do things you're not supposed to do, there's repercussions for that too. So bear that in mind. Use smart judgment. But I would tell you, my final thing I would say to you today is live your dreams. Don't let anyone tell you you can't be something you want to be. Don't let anyone say it can't be done, because I'm living proof that it can be done. And I say to you, remember too, if one dream doesn't come true when you go out on that road in life out there, one dream leads to another dream. They all intersect. And where you may think this is the dream now, 10 years from now, the dream could be something else. But by pursuing that dream, it will lead you to the other one. And that's my final message today, is go out there and don't take no for an answer. You can be successful. You can be anything you want to be if you put your mind to it. Thank you. Let's do the questions before everything else.
Actually, we have a couple presentations before the questions.
It'd be better to do the questions first.
Okay, if you'd like to do the questions.
Yeah, let's do the questions first. We'll do the presentations after.
All right, right now,
Questions
guys,
first.
I think Mr. Bray explained to everybody how we're going to run the question and answer session then. There's going to be Russ Riggins and Rebecca Chabot on each side, so if you guys have a question, go over to them. They'll have the mics prepared, and just let them know your question, and you'll get a chance. The governor will answer it for you.
Governor will try to answer for you. Governor don't have all the answers.
Hi. I was just wondering, what would light rail do for the city of Minneapolis?
First of all, tell me your name.
I'm Steven.
Thanks, Stephen. I like to know who I'm talking to.
Okay.
Okay, what was the question, Stephen?
What would light rail do for our city of Minneapolis or St. Paul?
What will light rail do? Well, initially, you have to build the first line. And what it comes down to is this. We are the only metropolitan area in the United States that is not right now. Well, we are currently. We're building our first line, fortunately. What it is it's an idea of providing transportation options for people, giving people choices. And we can't rely completely on the automobile. 10, 15, 20 years from now, you can't build your way out of congestion. You can't put tops upon the freeways and drive both levels because it is just too expensive to do so. So you need to create alternatives, and one light rail line, no, is not going to solve the problem. But if you do like they've done in Denver, Colorado now, and I traveled out there, they're currently constructing their third light rail line now. They have hopes within the next 5 to 6 years of having 5. So that you literally, and what it's done for them, there are no more buses in downtown Denver. So it's cleared out all that bus traffic. There are still buses, but the buses don't have to go downtown. The buses now connect you to the rail system, and the rail can take you downtown. And the other reason that we need to look at this is viable and economic-wise. In the next year, there will be no more parking spaces in downtown Minneapolis. Now, if a new business is going to come in, wow, look at all these questions. I could be here until Tuesday. I better move on and do these quickly as fast as I can. I'd love to get in law. But if there's no more parking in downtown Minneapolis within a year, any business that wants to come and locate there, are they going to do it when they say, well, how do our workers get down here? Well, they drive their cars. There's no mass transportation? No. Well, where are they going to park? Well, we don't know. There's no parking. And imagine what they're going to charge for parking. I would love to own one of those lots down there. Because when there's no other way to get downtown but by automobile, and you own those lots, then I can hear them all screaming at me at the governor's saying, put a lid on what they can charge for parking. So to me, it's a case of, if you go to New York, if you go to Chicago, San Francisco, any of the major metropolitan areas, you have a form of rail transportation that gives people an alternative to the automobile if they want to use it. And I would love to use it to go to the Target Center to games. Not have to pay that $5 or $6 in the ramp and then get caught in there for 45 minutes. You know, you can walk out, get on a rail, and be heading home. Thank you.
Thank you.
It also, I might add, as myself as governor, I can't look for solutions 2 years down the road. My vision has to be 20 years down the road, and ultimately I'll be judged 20 years from now for what I did today.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Baranowski, and thank you for coming and spending time with us today. And
You're
I just
welcome.
wanted to know, why did you veto the bill that would give a tax break or a cut in the cost for marriage licenses?
Well, because it wasn't going to do that. It was going to raise the price of marriage licenses unless you went and got counseling. And to me, government has no place in telling you as an individual whether you're going to marry someone or not. That's not government's business. And I view it as such. Now, what would have happened with that bill, the price of the marriage license would have gone up for anyone that didn't agree to these pre-marriage counseling sessions. Now, if you agree to the marriage counseling sessions, it would drop $50 off your fee for a marriage license. Well, if you go, what's your incentive there? If you go to a professional marriage counselor, it's going to cost you a lot more than $50 to get that counseling. It's going to cost you $200 to $300 to get it. So where's the incentive here, and why should government be involved in you making a decision on who you're going to marry and whether you're compatible or not? That is not government's role. It is not government's place to do so, in my opinion. And imagine, let's take a for instance. The First Lady and I will have been married 25 years this summer. Now let's say tragically she passed away. 5 years go by and I meet someone else and I decide to remarry a second time. Why do I need the government telling me what it takes to have a successful marriage when I've already had one for 25 years? I don't need the government telling me to go get counseling and I'll give you a break on your license, but if you don't get this counseling, you'll pay more.
Hi, my is Marin Payne, and my question is, what sort of prestige do you think a governor deserves? And then how does he get it? Does he earn it, or is it
What was the
automatically
first part
given?
again?
How much prestige does a governor deserve?
Prestige? How much prestige does he deserve? Probably quite a bit. I mean, the governor, I take that, I look at that as go back to my military days and how I view the president, whether I agree with the president personally or like him personally, he's still the commander-in-chief and he's the leader of our country, and the governor would be the same way here. He is the leader of the state. He represents the state. And so I would give him all the honor and respect he or she that the office holds, regardless of what I think of the person personally. You're viewing it as the office that's being held, and what the Minnesota people, this is the person they voted in to hold that office. So it's prestige and recognition, not just for that person, whoever that person is, but for the office they hold and for all of you who voted that person into that office.
Is there ever a time that changes?
Do what?
Is there ever a time that changes?
Is there a time that changes?
Yeah, depending on what the person does.
Well, naturally, if they commit a crime, they're going to go to jail. Then I suppose the prestige goes down a little bit. Again, it's a case of you can like the person individually or not like the person individually. That's your choice as a person. But I think you should still always respect the office that's being held and the prestige given to that office. Because fortunately for us, the person won't be in that office forever. You know, you serve and hopefully move on. And so other people replace you. Go ahead.
Okay. My name's Nicola Jackson, and I'm a junior. I was just wondering if you think that it's been harder or easier not being a member of either major political party in terms of working with them in the legislature.
Wait a minute. First of all, if you're a junior, what are you doing in here?
Mr. Ventura, if I may say so, there are a few select government classes that have joined us as
No,
well.
I like to have fun, that's all. And okay, repeat the question again.
I was wondering if you think it's been harder or easier not being a member of either major political party in terms of working with them in the legislature.
It's both. It is both more difficult in certain aspects and easier in other aspects. It's easier in the fact that I have no strings attached to me. So therefore, all decisions I make are based upon myself and what I believe in and the decision I want to make, and it's nice not to have to be second-guessed by a political party standing behind you or orchestrating you. You may not agree with all my decisions, but at least you know they're mine. You know there's no strings attached to me. Now, what makes it more difficult? It's very difficult to be on an island by yourself and battling two political structures like the Democrats and Republicans and the power base that they have. Because again, you have no allies, really. And so that makes it very tough, but I like the challenge of it.
What do you think your chances of re-election are? Sorry to interrupt.
Well, first of all, it will depend if I want to run again. I think that's where ultimately the decision will be mine 2 years from now if I want to again seek the office. I would just say that I think they're fairly good, because I think everyone, although they won't agree with me and may not like me, I think some people, they will realize that if they hang around me for a while, that I do the job to the best of my ability. And I think that's all you can ask of anyone, is do it to the best of your ability and let the chips fall as they may. So I think that if I run for re-election, I think that I can be successful again, but ultimately that's the people's choice. And if I were to lose, it wouldn't bother me. I'd just go back to the private sector from where I came, because I'm not out to make a career out of this. I'm a throwback to the old days when you serve, and when you're done serving, go back to the job you used to have, or go find another one. And but I think I could do fairly well if I ran again. I think that contrary to what's been reported by the media, I think we've done very well over there for 2 sessions so far.
Thank you.
My name is Brian Borlaug, and Governor Ventura, I have a question here. I have to read it from a card. I know you probably don't want me to do that, but...
No, you do what you want.
All right. After the recent Vermont legislation which recognized homosexual marriages, what is your position upholding the full faith and credit clause of the Constitution? By recognizing these homosexual marriages, or do you plan to reject the Vermont decision, considering that Minnesota is a part of DOMA?
Now, I want you to listen closely to what I say. I reject same-sex marriages only for the term of marriage, because the dictionary says marriage is defined as between a man and a woman. That's what the dictionary says. So I will accept that, but I will support a gay or lesbian relationship if it's a committed relationship, because I believe very strongly you're born that way. And when you're born a certain way, there's nothing you can do about it. It's no different than the color of your skin. And so therefore, and I have two friends, or had two friends, one has passed away, who were gay, and they were in a relationship together for 41 years. And no one can tell me that these two people did not love each other, and that these two people were not committed to each other, and frankly, it didn't mean a damn to me whether they were of the homosexual or heterosexual. It's none of my business.
Hi, I'm Lydia Chambers, and just want to say thanks for coming. This is really cool.
Sure.
My question is about a bill that's been in committee for like 2 years, and it would lower the state voting age to 16. And I'm just wondering, when that comes out of committee and gets voted on, if it's passed, will you veto it or will you pass it?
I don't know yet. It's interesting, and it's a good point you bring up, and if I can for a moment, I'll take you back in my day for a moment and let you know how difficult it was back in 1969. In 1969, when I was in your seats and I was graduating from Roosevelt High School, we could be drafted and we could be sent to Vietnam. No choice, 18 years old, you could be drafted and sent to war, and yet you couldn't vote, because in 1969, the voting age was 21. So you could be sent to war by the politicians, and yet you had no say-so in who those politicians were that were sending you to war. Fortunately, in 1972, they dropped the voting age to 18. Now, the point I'm getting to is that we as government and we as a society need to pick an age. I don't know what that age is, and I'm not going to tell you what I think it is or should be, but we need to get consistent. And we need to decide at a certain age when one is an adult and when one deserves all the privileges of being an adult. And then we need to be, in my opinion, consistent across the board with that age. Whatever that age is we choose, be it 18, 19, I would be reluctant to say 16, because then again, if you're allowing people to vote at 16, then there's other things they can't do until they're 18. And so I think we should pick an age that allows you to be an adult. And at that point in time, you are an adult in every way, shape, and form.
Thank you.
Let me just add, if I may, when I graduated, I joined the Navy right out of high school, and I spent a year being trained and all that, and then I deployed to Southeast Asia for 19 months. And I came back from my first 9-month deployment to Asia during the Vietnam War, and within 3 days, I went back into my executive officer and asked to be sent back overseas. And he looked at me and said, "But you just got here 3 days ago. Why do you want to go back over there?" And I said, "Because over there I'm treated like an adult. Here, I can't even go up the street and buy a beer." And I'm not saying it's good to drink, don't get me wrong. But I'm saying that when I can die for my country, I certainly ought to be considered an adult. Or do we send children to war? Is that the message I got? That these kids can't vote, these kids can't have any of the privileges of being an adult, but they can go die for their country. Well, I think that's despicable if we send children to war.
How you doing? I'm Bryn Erickson, and I'm a senior, and I just want to thank you for coming today.
You're welcome.
I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on the Libertarian Party and for Harry Brown's presidential run this year? Maybe you'll vote for him?
Well, the libertarian philosophy is very good to some extent, but some of them go overboard and they're almost anarchists. I mean, they believe, like I remember the libertarians were booing me down one day because I was talking about government's role in transportation. And I looked at them and I said, well, how'd you get here? You know, you didn't get here on private roads. You got here because that's a role government. See, government should, here's a simple philosophy. Government should do for you what you can't do for yourself. That's simple. And obviously we can't all go out and build our own roads. And if we did, can you imagine the tolls? I mean, if every block someone owned that road, they'd be sitting out there collecting money from everybody that drove on it. So the libertarian philosophy is very good to a certain point, but you have to understand that in a society like ours, you do need some government. You need government to kind of mold and be the glue to loosely keep everything together.
Okay. Do you
What
think
do I think of his presidential run? He's not going to win, I don't think. But then again, they said I couldn't either, so who knows? But
do you think there's any chance of the Libertarian Party becoming a more centrist party and possibly a third party in a two-party system?
pretty tough. The libertarians are very, very stubborn. When I ran with the Reform Party, we tried to get the libertarians to come across and cross-endorse me and combine, and they wouldn't do it. So that's the problem with third-party movements. You get about 6 different ones, and they can, as you said, they can never come together for a centrist movement, which I believe the third party must be centrist if they're going to succeed, because only 15 to 20% of people say they're Republicans, 15 to 20 say they're Democrats. That means 60% don't align with either party. And that's the centrist movement that I'm trying to create.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.